Namaste. My name is Kirti, and on behalf of Himalayan Yoga Association, I welcome you all to this online teacher training course. I am a teacher here at Himalayan Yoga Association, and I will be taking you through the concepts and details of the human body and yoga altogether. Let's hope you enjoy this course. Let's start.
Namaste and welcome back to the online yoga teacher training course. In today's video, we are going to figure out the three different qualities of human mind or Trigunas. But before we go ahead and do that, like we always do, I need you to chant the Gayatri mantra with me and develop a habit towards chanting this mantra before you start anything new every day. Simply sit with your spine straight, activate any mudra. I prefer using the chin mudra, wherein you join the index finger with the thumb and the fingers are flaring away from each other. The palm needs to face the ceiling. If the palm is facing downwards, then it becomes Gyan mudra. So, chin mudra has its own effect. Let's practice it with the chin mudra. Spine straight, shoulders roll to the back, close your eyes and allow yourself to get comfortable in this state while you're doing nothing but observing your breath. Slowly inhale and exhale. Observe the effect the breath leaves on your mind and your body. Using your breath as an instrument, you can explore everything that takes place inside you, which you generally cannot see with your open eyes. Just breathe. These are the most personal moments you can spend with yourself. Do not stress yourself with any appointments, any emergencies, because this is exactly what you're here to do right now. So immerse yourself in this activity just for a few breaths. Now slowly bring your hands in front of your chest, Namaskara Sthiti. If you know the mantra, you can chant it with me. Otherwise, you can always repeat it afterwards. Slowly breathe in once. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. Having absorbed the vibration and the effect of the mantra, let's generate some energy between our palms by rubbing them against each other. Before you open your eyes, cover your palms and transfer this energy to your eyes first. Then close your eyes again, massage your face, the back of your neck, shoulders, elbows, stomach, knees, wherever you wish to transfer this energy to. Keep your eyes closed. Once again, fold your palms, bow down to the universal truth. With a few blinks, expose your eyes to light again. Welcome back. Alright, so as per yogic philosophy, as per yogic understanding, the entire universe, this planet, us, everything you see, the plants, the stones, the river, the sky, everything, it is made up of two portions. One is Purush and the other one is Prakriti. Purusha is the consciousness state of mind. If you remember that we discussed how planet Earth, despite of the abuse that it faces, whether it comes from humans or other environmental causes, is always able to spring back and rejuvenate itself. Despite of the nature of the calamity that it has endured, Mother Nature has always managed to come back and come alive as it is. Prakriti is Mother Nature. Consciousness is Purusha. Without nature, this consciousness would not have anything to touch, see, feel. Without consciousness, Prakriti would not be able to come alive, it will not be able to rejuvenate itself, it will not really have a purpose that it solves so peacefully and so beautifully, if I may. If we go by the Ayurvedic principles of three doshas, which talks about Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, or we can also say solid, liquid, and waste elements, then the consciousness can be divided into three elements as well, which is Sattva, Tamas, and Rajas. While three doshas keep on changing against depending on the kind of environment, the activities you do, three gunas as well portray a similar capability of realigning and balancing themselves, but they are not as quick to resolve like the three doshas. Now, what are the three gunas? Three gunas comes, if you translate the word triguna itself, then it has two different words, Sanskrit words. Tri means three and gunas means qualities. Trigunas means the three qualities. Everything that you see, everything that you touch, us, your pet, the water, the rocks, fire, each and everything is one way or the other portrayed with the help of three gunas. Everything has these three capabilities. For instance, if I talk about my own self, then not just my own self, but about you or other animals as well. If we just talk about the human capabilities anatomically, then the ability to circulate blood inside the human body is a very constant activity. That is Rajasic in nature. The ability to hold or stop our thoughts at the time of meditation, if you are able to achieve that state, is a very tamasic quality to have inside the body. The ability to stay content in the face of the strongest stress you'll ever face is the ability of sattva or sattvicness. Every human being is having all of these three different qualities inside of them. They are there in different proportions. Whichever quality is more than the other one will create obviously an imbalance in the entire human being, the interactions, the perceptions. So yoga is all about balancing the three doshas as well as the three gunas. Let's go ahead and further understand these three qualities. I'm pretty sure if you look around and consider the people that you're surrounded with, your parents, your families, your friends, the people you grew up with, the people you meet at the market, if you have a very basic understanding of how the three gunas work, you can easily bifurcate which person is having an extreme of which quality inside of them. For instance, you may have come across people who are very lazy, who are very dull, who are obese, who do not really like to exercise as much, people who are very, very greedy at the same time. These kind of people are tamasic people. Tamasic, even though it is a quality, but when it goes in an extreme direction up north, when it's too much inside a human body, then it becomes a characteristic, and that becomes the defining characteristic of that human being. Tamasicness should not be the aim of a human being. Generally, a person's yogic journey is all about moving from tamasic to rajasic. If that person is rajasic in nature, then the journey is all about developing himself from being a rajasic person to a sattvic person. If a person is born sattvic, if a person is born with major sattvic qualities inside of them, then their journey is all about moving from being a sattvic person to an enlightened human being. We can also say, as we discussed in the concept of timeline-based karmas, these qualities, they come from the kind of karma you have performed in your past. And on those lines, whichever stage of life you are in at the moment, your goal is to, as long as you're alive, your goal is to become sattvic and to become enlightened. Now, since I've already told you the qualities of a tamasic person, they're mostly illusion, they're lazy, they're confused, hard to make decisions, they're very possessive about things, they're very dull in their interactions, they're also very greedy. They do not care about anything, all they care about is their own self. All they care about is achieving or possessing things without really having to work hard at all. These are the qualities of a tamasic person. At the same time, these qualities are very common to the negative elements of the society. Generally, criminals, they could be either rajasic or tamasic, depending on the amount of criminal activities they are into. If they enjoy being themselves, then they are definitely tamasic. A certain criminal, if at all they end up doing things out of a certain circumstance, then they could be rajasic. Don't get me wrong. Tamasic is not necessarily a bad thing. As I've already told you that each one of us has all of these different qualities in different proportions. But the extreme of either one of these qualities results in the kind of behavior you portray outside, the how you show yourself to the outside world. Now, moving on to the Rajasic person, a Rajasic person is generally very ambitious. They're workaholic, they're restless, they're self-centered, they're very selfish at the same time, they're overachievers. At the same time, they're very aggressive in their interactions. If you can think about a person like this who is all about achieving things in their lives, but realize this, where is all of those achievements, those possessions, what are they going to bear to them in the end? In the end, while we are supposed to detach ourselves from everything, what result, what satisfaction will these possessions bring to them? At the end of the day, there is something better of everything in the universe. There is always going to be a bigger house, a faster car, a higher mountain to climb on. There is always going to be a more beautiful woman out there. Basically, the person who is working towards achieving these things is running in an endless loop of possessions, which is just going to destroy his time, efforts, and creativity. On the other hand, the most purest quality that you're going to have is the sattva quality inside you. The sattva quality is basically a person who is non-violent, someone you come across who's very caring, who's very content with the things that he has and realizes that possessions do not bear happiness, joy, or satisfaction. They're very calm. As you can see, it reflects from how they perceive things. They're very kind and they're very meditative. Usually people who are sattvic in nature, they enjoy their own company. The difference between alone and lonely is pretty prominent if you think deep about the sattvic quality in itself associated with the meditation. Now, all of these things are not just physical in nature, even though they reflect in the physical interactions. Someone who is very workaholic is obviously going to find something to do as a Rajasic person. But these are actually the states of mind. These state of mind, remember, any change, the body will respond to what the mind will tell it to do. The ambitions, these characteristics, even though they are very mental in nature, they will reflect in the physical body. Similarly, a tamasic person whose illusion will also reflect his body movements, his language, his interactions, his decisions are going to be all of these things tamasic in nature. On the other hand, a sattvic person will have all of these qualities not just inside the mind but also outside of the mind as well. Usually, the Rajasic kind of people, they are a balance of tamasic and sattvic. They're not really as lazy, confused, possessive, greedy as a tamasic person, but at the same time, they're not really as caring, content, calm, and meditative like a sattvic person. Restless and meditative are two exact opposites. If you're restless, then it's going to be very hard for you to be meditative. On the other hand, if you're meditative, then it's going to be very, very hard for you to be restless. These are two exact opposites which do not gel along each other. A tamasic person is something that we should never aspire to be. If you remember the lesson in case of Karma Yoga keeps you active. Karma Yoga keeps you mobile. Karma Yoga keeps you possessive free. The change mostly happens inside the mind. And this is where you can understand how Karma Yoga is able to reflect in your the three gunas that you have inside the body. Karma Yoga brings about a positive change inside the mind itself, and at the same time, Karma Yoga is mostly a characteristic of sattvic nature. Now, how can we change these characteristics? Well, there are, just like how I told you, human beings that do not just have these characteristics, everything around us has these characteristics. A river body which has river running through across of it, all the time, whether it's day or night, has mostly Rajasic characteristics. That's why it's unstoppable. It's always working in one direction. A lake, a similar example, a lake which has, or a pond which has water which has been collected in a certain place is not moving at all. That is tamasic in nature. A sattvic, the similar example of this would be, in case of the sattva, would be, imagine a rock which is big in size, very strong, but very calm, can face any problem, whether it's weather related or whether it's nature related to it, and at the same time will never lose its characteristic. Yes, it can be broken down, but it will never reflect it back in aggression. That is the quality of a rock, and that is a very sattvic quality to have. Now, how do you change these things? At the same time, between these three examples of the river, of the lake, and of the rock, you can easily make out that the tamasic nature of the lake is usually not having any movement, but at the same time, because this water has been collected, it will also give birth to impure elements inside of it in the form of bacteria and other impartial elements. Yes, it does provide some nurturing to the environment, but it does not have the purity or the quality of a Rajasic river which has running water, which in many cases can also be drinkable, so to say. The sattva qualities of the rock, of the gigantic rock, has been there throughout the test of time. Nobody knows how old rocks are, yet they do not change. Of course, they do undergo changes, but very subtle changes depending on the kind of impact that they're facing. And this is exactly the quality of a rock. They're able to support things. These are the qualities of sattvic people. They're able to nurture everything that they come across. Joy, happiness, contentment, purity are all characteristics of sattva. How can you change all of these three different characteristics between you, these three different qualities inside? How can you bring it to a balance? Well, everything that you do will leave an impact on your mind, and every effect on your mind will be reflected in these qualities. For instance, Rajasic people are generally the people who are eating things which create movement inside their body. For example, Rajasic people would mostly enjoy indulging in non-vegetarian food because it gives them energy, it gives them protein which helps in development of muscle. At the same time, it gives them stomach problems, which is another characteristic of restlessness happening inside the body. This acidic problem is reflected in the Rajasic nature, and these characteristics, someone who's experiencing stomach related problems will obviously reflect it outwards, and these people are not able to stay calm, stay content, and stay located in one point. They always need something to do, just like the food they eat provides the kind of characteristic upon digestion. Tamasic people are usually people who enjoy indulging in fast food, things that can be cooked early without much hard work, things that are delicious, definitely nurtures their sense of taste, but which may or may not provide any nutrition in the form of a proper balanced diet. The tamasic kind of people, the kind of food that they eat automatically reflects in their behavior in these characteristics, and there are many other characteristics apart from the ones mentioned here. The exact opposite of tamasic and rajasic is the sattvic kind of people. Sattvic kind of people enjoy eating very light food. They eat food which is boiled, non-oily, non-spicy, completely vegetarian, something which has least amount of damage associated with the environment, because the kind of karma they have imposed in the environment, if they are consuming it themselves, it will leave an impact on the mind as well, and that mind will reflect in the interactions. So the first thing that you can change, if you can easily, with these characteristics, one can easily understand and figure out the nature of a certain person, the conscience of a certain person, whether they are tamasic, whether they are rajasic, or whether they are sattvic. You can very easily make out because of the kind of people you come across, the kind of people you surround yourself with. Talk to yourself, understand what kind of a person you are, what have your diet been, what kind of activity have you been into, are you disciplined, are you usually happy, are you depressed, what kind of a state of mind are you experiencing. All of these things will be able to help you acknowledge the nature that you have at the moment and the nature that you want to become by bringing about subtle changes in your life, starting with your diet. Start by eating light food, which is another important aspect, because whatever you eat is what you become in the end. Start with the diet. Start with the sleeping pattern that you have. Start with the kind of interactions that you have. The change needs to come from the mind. The dual consciousness, what you think, what you hear, what you say, and what you do should all be one thing. Only then can you be called purely sattvic. Only then can you be able to progress in your own yogic journey, and only then will you be able to come closer to the goal of enlightenment. I hope you found today's video informative. There are a lot other details to tamas, rajas, and sattva, the three gunas, but we can obviously go ahead and research these details on our own. For now, I would like to take a leave. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and namaste.